celebration. Seems like it could go on forever. Long as we can all stay together.
Able to see him. There's the pass. Oh, what a catch!
Get up and hit up all the hot spots in town.
Play action, finding room, going deep, and it's caught by Higgins.
Summer weather, we're back together.
Welcome to the number one Bengals podcast.
It's the only Bengals podcast currently calling
Only Bengals
itself
podcast.
number one.
Did they record that next to the ocean? That was really loud.
I thought that was
it
like a
was.
nice, peaceful wave. So I thought maybe Daddy-O had gotten like zen.
The
wanted
ocean
to
scares
calm
me.
us.
You know, some of those waves
Yes,
are big.
He's been literally swept up in a wave of enthusiasm by
Yes,
whatever he just
all
showed
of
us.
those are correct, but even more correct is the fact that I'm trying to avoid copyright issues with YouTube. So I added some sound effects, hoping it wouldn't pick up on the song.
Nice.
Yes. Yes.
You
So-
know, with those glasses, you look like the kind of guy who would do exactly that kind of thing.
Right.
That's the portrait of copyright infringement.
Yeah,
The
you look
face
like
of
a
it.
poster child for, loopholes around laws.
Well, thank you. And first of all, we have a lot of news today. We have
Big
a
news.
lot of news today.
Yeah.
Big news. First of all, John, our good friend, Mr. Zim the Houday,
The one and
has
only.
reported.
Yeah.
He's reported, as you saw in the opening, that T. Higgins has been extended. And T. Higgins' mom, you see there, over there, beneath it, yeah.
The eyes.
T. Higgins, right. The
What does that mean?
eyes.
What does that mean? Okay, Bridget, you are an emoji specialist.
Well,
no.
yeah.
Bridget is an emoji specialist. Bridget, the
That's,
eyes to the side.
that is
with
insulting. I feel like she does more than that. Yeah.
It's one of my skills.
One of many.
So John probably knows this better. John is the youngest of all of us and is probably the legit emoji specialist. My middle-aged lady emoji specialism says that means like, ooh, what's going on? Say more. I don't really feel like the
But that's
eyes
T.
are
Higgins'
usually.
mom. He would know. She would
I
know.
thought she was maybe like, Zim, what do you know that I don't?
Okay,
like,
can I tell you how I read it?
Yeah, do
Okay.
it.
Like, you put your eyes to the side and you're like, well, I'm not going to say nothing.
I don't feel like it's ever used like that.
John,
Oh, so it's like a side eye thing where it's like you're saying something without saying something.
that's what I thought.
That's more or less, I think, what the emoji means. Zim is not reporting anything, by the way. He's not a reporter, but he knows stuff. And sometimes
What
he
is he?
says stuff.
How does he know stuff? How?
How does anyone know anything? You
Is
know
he
people.
friends with T. Higgins?
No comment.
There you go. That was what he just did, Bridget,
So-
was the equivalent of rolling your eye to the side. You see that?
So hold on.
He said no
Like,
comment, but the no comment meant he just rolled his eye to the side. You guys have a screen? I can see that.
Yeah. John, so what you're saying is that we are reporting on the news because Zim is the news and we're
You are
reporting on
especially not a
him.
reporter.
We
Not a
made it
clean one
into
either.
Hold
news
on.
right
Hold on.
now.
You
It
say
just
that,
became
John.
news.
Hold
It just
on.
became news.
He says I'm not a reporter, John.
No one
But-
here is.
Well,
I beg your pardon?
I reported on the Carson Palmer calling Joe Burrow the greatest quarterback in the league. And then the rest of the NFL world picked up on it.
Once
Dove
again, Daddy-O broke the internet.
and the Jeff Schwartz.
Can
and
I-
then you
can-
had NFL.com even talked about it.
And how did
I
you get
reported
the
on
quote?
that,
How
yeah.
did you get the quote?
I got it
first?
from Zim. He had a clip, and that was taken from a podcast from the Jordan Palmer show. And I reported Zim's tweets, which was reporting on the podcast. And that,
reporter you
John,
are
is
indeed,
how
Daddy-O.
that's how you become a journalist.
Can I just, I know I'm gonna run out of times when I can say this, but one more time remind the audience that Daddy-O, and I exaggerate not, single-handedly cost us the AFC Championship with the Burrowhead nonsense. That was
Yes.
all Daddy-O. Everybody got to remember that, and that is not exaggeration. He created Burrowhead.
I didn't. I reported on Burrowhead. I shared the tweet in the YouTube video. John, I want to talk about, well, first of all, let us talk about let's talk about the T. Higgins extension first.
Yeah.
So, John,
Yeah.
if this is done, let's
is
just
done.
be clear.
We
this
just
means
reported it.
they're going to be paying T. Higgins at least $20 million a year. I mean, that is for sure, right?
Right.
I mean, he has David Mulligetham as his agent.
John,
So
I
at
have
least
a,
20 million,
I have
right,
a
John?
better
What
question.
is your low? Of course, let me say, John was a little bit pessimistic about the Jermaine Pratt extension. Remember, you thought it'd be over 10 million, and the Bengals somehow got him to 7 million.
That's
John,
true.
Now,
How much of this, John, is due to the Bengals feeling the pressure because of the Odell Beckham signing?
There's
hold
no
on, I
pressure
want to
with
get to
that
that's
at all.
later.
What?
We're gonna get to Odell Beckham.
Odell
We're not
Beckham is
there
now
yet.
in our league. He is now in our division.
Yes. John, hold on.
John,
T extension, let's say, what do
need
you
your
think?
T-
In the
oh.
25
million?
million range? What do you think?
What do you
'Cause
think, John?
yeah, go ahead.
Who go ahead?
you.
John.
Really,
me?
John, you go ahead. No,
There's
no,
only
just
one John.
kidding.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he'll get around 25 mil just because Debo Samuel got 24. I think DK Metcalf also got 24. Terry McLaurin got like 23 per year. Devontae Adams and like Tyreek Hill, they're just in another stratosphere. They're at 28, 30 respectively, which is where Jamar Chase might get in a couple of years' time. So the market was always about 24, 25 million for T. I don't think that the Bengals are going to get him under that. I think at this point there's probably an understanding between the two sides. That doesn't mean a deal is imminent. That doesn't mean a deal has been agreed to. It just means that I'm assuming based off some of the things that T. Higgins has tweeted out, obviously what Zim put out there, it means things are going well and that the Bengals have a number in mind, which means they probably have a number in mind when it comes to Joe Burrow. They just calculate all these things, right? They have so many things going on at once, but they're trying to fit it all into a big picture, and they can't do one thing without also thinking about the other. But this is the point, right? It's not about how many of the core three can the Bengals keep between Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. It's about how talented can the team be around those three players, because all three of them are in their plans, and this kind of just proves that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so John, again, this was something I think you made a video about it on Twitter. You're saying, look, yes, they're going to pay Higgins. Yes, they're going to pay Chase, and they're going to pay Joe
Well, I never
Burrow.
said that they were going to pay Higgins for sure. I said they were going to try, and they still had another year and a half to do that. I thought the most likely scenario would be he plays out his contract, he gets on the franchise tag, and then he goes his merry way, because it's going to be hard to pay Burrow and Chase. But that's certainly the intention here.
Yeah, but the team is
Yeah.
almost.
So I mean, the
I mean, with you got Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. That's really like a once in a decade kind of team. I mean, you have to realize how no one else has that three-way combo, right? So it's
yeah,
it's really something
I guess.
special.
But what John's point, I think, in the video is that look, the rest of the team's going to have to be cheap. We're not going to be
No.
able to pay a
doesn't
pass
work like
rusher. Well, I mean, we just got Orlando Brown, right? But his deal starts now, and by the
Okay.
time the Chase and Burrow extensions kick in, it'll be past his first 2 years, I think, right, John?
I don't even think this team's gonna meet the cap. Let's be honest. I'm not really worried. I mean, people keep adding up things in their head. You don't have that many top players compared to other teams. This team is great, but it's not like it's chock full of stars.
Well,
But
most
we're
of them
talking
are
like
coming off the
100
books now.
million. Yeah, but then we're
Yeah.
talking like 100 million just for those three. Yeah, Bridget, go ahead.
Well, no, I didn't. I mean,
With
They
out
are
of
coming
400, right?
they are coming off the books now. But John, a wondering I have. So I get really overwhelmed in the off season with the business side of it, because I'm not good at chess. I'm good at like maybe Connect Four. That's as far ahead
better
as I
game.
can think. Yeah, it's an objectively better game. And maybe they need to introduce it in the locker room. But like, how do you hold the balance of like, what do we think? War, right? Which is like immediate, you win or lose, or blackjack, which is pretty quick, versus a chess where there's infinite scenarios around what could happen and what could happen in the next 2 or 3 years, or, Burrow's looking at a 4-year contract versus what could happen in the next 8 to 10. So how are they holding that in the in the office as they go into this? Like, how much do you play right now, or like in short, medium term, being 2 to 3 years, versus like how you're looking at the next 8 to 10?
I think they can only, like, Burrow obviously has a ton of leverage with what he wants, and I don't think his agent, like, it's not going to be he's going to take a completely team-friendly deal. And I think in the Bengals' mind, they would love to lock him under a 10-year contract that's like locks him into a certain rate. It's like getting a mortgage, right? You know, they want you want to get like locked into like a 15-year like rate that doesn't, you know, get fluctuates by what the market is. Like, the Bengals would love that for Burrow, but the smarter thing for these quarterbacks now is to get maybe a 4 at most 5-year deal so that you can re-enter the market and then take advantage of how much prices have gone up due to the increase in salary cap and everything. So that, in the Bengals' mind, they would want to get all these guys locked in for the long term, but they also have their prerogative of maximizing their potential earnings. So I think the Bengals are focused on these three, and a lot of what they're going to do in the next 2 years in free agency and spending and just targeting separate players comes down to making sure that everything fits under the cap with those three in mind. So I think it's because they're all kind of getting these deals at the same time, it makes it a little bit easier. And I think they're going to try to stagger the Higgins deal maybe with what Chase is going to get in a couple of years. So when Higgins' cap increases, they're going to try to potentially backload Chase's deal so that they're both not making $20 million at the same time, while Burrow is probably getting a cap hit of at least $50 million by that time. So it's a lot of things all happening at once. But, I mean, this is the price you pay when, like Hoji said, you have a generational three-player core at the two most important positions in the football.
So, okay, so they're paying Higgins $20 million a year, let's say,
It's that too. Not yet.
and Chase they're paying how much a year?
I mean, he'll get close to 30, if not more.
Okay,
Because
let's say
Tyreek
30.
Hill's getting $30 million a year.
So that's 50. That's 50, and then Burrow will be getting per year at least 50.
But again, so like the average is kind of like those are the average payments, right? It could be in a given year, Chase, say in his first year, he's getting like $11 million against the cap. And then that year, Higgins could be at like 22. So that's 33 for them. Maybe Burrow's deal gets up to like around 46. So that's 80, like 70. So there's still like a wiggle room of tens of millions of cap space on a given year. But yes, on average, like that those are the numbers that people most commonly look to. But it's not as cut and dry as that.
You know,
It's
one
the
thing
same wiggle room that Daddy-O uses on his taxes.
yeah,
You
Daddy
know,
doesn't pay taxes.
That's
You know,
only because I
Well,
don't make enough.
that's
5
the
more days,
wiggle
man.
room.
Listen,
Okay.
Bridget. Do you think that background that you see behind Daddy is somewhere in the United States of America, or do you think that it's in an
You know-
undisclosed location where you don't pay taxes?
It's the Cayman Islands, for
It is.
sure.
It's option B. You know,
Okay,
actually,
we're
this whole
getting off
situation
topic. Yeah.
with the Bengals and the cap space, it reminds me of wife number 3. I don't know if I ever told you guys about Richarda. And Richarda was a high maintenance woman. Five-star hotels, Gucci, blah blah blah, and you do run out of money pretty quick, cap space, so to speak. But there is one thing that people would say, which is, why stay with a woman like that? Now, mind you, we did get a divorce, but why do you stay with a woman like that? And it's not the money. It's not the spending the money there. It's the privilege of being with them. And so, John, that takes me to my question. John, won't there be a number of really good players who are willing to come to and play at the Bengals with the privilege of playing with Joe Burrow?
Yes, I
and
would
being
answer that.
part
That's
of
what
the-
I was. That's what
being
I was trying to
part
get
of the
at.
next Super Bowl.
That is why the Bengals got Jermaine Pratt for such a great deal. That is why they got Orlando Brown for such a great deal.
Yeah.
It's real. People want
We-
their
we
names to go
couldn't-
down in history.
We couldn't keep
Yeah.
Piran for a similar deal.
Piran said he went for family, I think.
Well,
Right,
look,
John?
let-
He wanted
no,
to be
no,
closer
no,
to
no,
his family.
Piran
That
saw
was
the
one
writing
reason.
on the wall. Piran
No.
saw the writing on the wall. The Bengals are
Well-
moving in a different direction with running back. It's pretty clear. They're not happy.
Well,
That's
he
just-
left.
yeah.
He left because he didn't know. He left because Joe Mixon's still here and he doesn't know if he's still going to be the starter. And he doesn't.
No,
want
I
to
don't think they want
Yeah.
any. My personal feeling, and it's completely made up and complete intuition. I think
As
they want
everything
to
on
go.
the show.
Yeah, they want to go complete different direction.
John, going in a completely different direction, I
John.
want to go back to the Carson Palmer discussion. So
That's
Carson
no
Palmer,
different for you.
he comes out. No,
You know, Daddy, it's odd that you invest so much
Look.
hatred toward Carson Palmer, and
Carson
he doesn't
broke-
even know who you are.
I won't get into that. But I'll let my legal team get into that. But, John, Carson Palmer comes out for no reason at all. He says that Joe Burrow is the greatest quarterback ever. He's better than Patrick Mahomes. He's more consistent than Patrick Mahomes. And I reported on the reporting of the podcast of that. And a lot of people immediately had the same reaction as me, which was, this just makes you hate Carson Palmer even more.
Yeah.
Now,
Why do we,
we
have
can
that reaction?
we
Is that-
can
is that just a
spend
gut
the whole
reaction?
show. We can spend the whole show talking about what his motivation in saying that was. But I don't want to do that. I only want to spend about half the show doing that.
It was
So-
an evil motivation. Is that true?
Great
Yes.
use
So
of all of our time.
what John, do you think his motivation was?
John, remember, your choices are evil or evil. So you got to pick something evil.
What evil are you choosing?
Yeah, what evil does
Carson
that man
Palmer
want?
did not like the Bengals. He may still not like the Bengals, but he did not like the Bengals when Joe Burrow was getting drafted. And when he was asked about Burrow and whether or not he should do what Eli Manning did and force his way out, I don't know if he straight up said that he should do that, but he said it's going to be really tough to win in Cincinnati with an organization and a franchise that doesn't prioritize its franchise quarterback and doesn't try to maximize the talent around him. And then the Bengals do the exact opposite, and they've done everything in their power to help out Joe Burrow, and they've surrounded him with a scheme and surrounding talent that kind of elevates him to the best of his ability, and that's exactly what he's done. And he's 5-2 in the playoffs, and he's done more in 3 years with Cincinnati than Carson Palmer did in a lifetime in the NFL. And I think that's led Carson to not have a choice in the matter and say, like, Joe Burrow's doing all of this at a place that I have to respect him for that. And my opinion and my evaluation on him is only elevated since he's come into the league. So I think he views Joe Burrow as the best quarterback in the NFL because of where he's doing this. And that's with the Bengals, the place that he forced his way out of.
Yeah, that's actually the right answer. And if I can share an analogy for that, John. Imagine there's a dinner party, okay? And one man walks in and he eats some fish that's maybe not that fresh, okay? And then his body reacts to it. It reacts to it in a way that is noisy and is embarrassing. And then he says,
I
it's not
remember
me,
this.
it's the fish.
The old fish
This
flatulence.
was Farta Copa 97. This actually happened to Daddy-O, and it was in the local paper. Go ahead.
I said imagine. So
I remember. I mean, yeah, the Farta Copa.
right. And so then he says, it's not
1997.
me, it's the fish. And nobody believes him. And then another man walks in. And he looks great, he smells great. He says, oh, watch. The fish is going to get him too. Fish, and he actually smells
You're breaking
better
up. Hold on,
and
you broke
better.
up. You
Yes,
got
it
you
smells
you
so
broke,
great.
you-
His
The
no-
internet's flatulating.
Okay.
Okay, so the second guy comes in, and he eats the fish.
Right.
He eats the
Am
fish.
I back? You can hear
Yeah,
me?
we can hear.
You can
So
hear
the
me?
second guy comes in, he eats the fish.
So the
but-
second guy comes in,
But wait a minute, his
and he
farts
looks great.
smell
He
good?
smells great.
Hold on, wait.
Hold
His
on.
farts
Hold
smell
on. No,
good. Is
the
it-
fish doesn't affect him. He can get through the fish.
No.
And
If
he
I
still smells
understood through
great.
your little digital problem correctly, you said he smells better and better. What is he
Better and
doing
better.
with that? Okay, with that digested
With that
fish.
fish. That's the question. What is he doing with the fish? He is making the fish smell great. And the first guy,
I
at
feel
first,
like I have to put
This
up a
metaphor
quick
does
warning.
not work.
We do not condone eating bad fish.
hold
I'm a
on.
vegan.
But
If
so
you
the
see
first
someone
guy,
who eats bad fish, don't do it and
I don't
think
eat
your
lemon.
farts
let
might
me
not
finish.
smell.
Let me finish. The first guy, after a while, at first he said, look, this guy's going to stink too. After a while, what does he have to do? He has to say, you know what? This guy, he tries to say, oh, look at that guy. Look how great he smells, instead of people focusing on how bad he smells. And then he has to pretend, he has to build him up. This man is just like superhuman that the fish doesn't affect him because nobody else could. So he's changing the narrative, changing the conversation so that it's like, yeah, of
Distract from his
course.
stinky.
He's like, that guy's the
Flatulence.
exception. I'm not the stinky. You see, that is what Carson Palmer's thinking was, John. I just wanted to, because it was very important news.
Sorry,
And
I
you
wasn't paying
connected back
attention.
to
Were you
John.
passing it to me?
Yeah, that was interesting. Interesting.
It was your.
He broke up again.
That,
Breaking up.
Let's kick him off.
I'm down with that.
that you
Yeah.
made to your points.
You said that so quickly, Bridget. It made me a little bit scared.
Yeah.
So, John, what do the Bengals do at the running back? They're going to draft? Is that the idea?
Yeah, they'll draft one. They might draft two. I think that they want someone that can either replace Mixon immediately or just replace him in a year. Depending on how the draft goes, is going to.
No, keep going. Keep going. We're live.
That will probably impact whether or not Mixon's employed or not. I think if they draft one in the first 2 rounds, it doesn't bode well for him being on the team. Anything beyond that, it becomes a question. It becomes a conversation. I have been told that the Bengals have been in contact with Ezekiel Elliott, but not before that wish list came out. And that was just a ploy by his agent to try to garner interest from those teams.
Yeah.
It seems like the Bengals are the only one of those 3 that have some interest in signing him. They're monitoring his legal situation, though. That case is refiled. There's clearly something incriminating against him if it is going back to Hamilton County courts. So we'll see how that develops. But the Bengals are monitoring that, and they're going to make the best decision for them beyond just personal issues. Like Mixon is getting paid a lot of money this year to be a running back who requires a lot to be successful, and they can probably get that production from someone who's significantly cheaper. So we'll see how that develops.
So, John, but you do agree that the Bengals' best games were when they had the successful running game to help.
That's
to
every
Burrow.
team. That's every team.
Okay, so now I know that I'm not the smartest guy when it comes to football, but am I stupid for hoping that or thinking maybe Kareem Hunt would be an option?
He's not good anymore.
He's
But
too
he
slow.
looks so good. He
His own
looks so
team
good.
says he's slow.
They lie. I've seen the man play.
John.
He doesn't look slow.
Well, John, I want to talk about Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, why
And
did he
honestly, well, they gave him $18 million or up to
Good for
$18 million.
him. Get his
Yeah.
money. They'll be lucky if they. No, this guy's not staying healthy.
do that? How do you know?
You 2 ACL tears.
Yeah,
It's how old is OBJ, John?
31.
31 years old.
I don't know. I just
little
don't feel
baby.
like I feel like the Ravens are just trying to right the ship or stop the ship from sinking at this point, and I
Maybe
feel
Lamar
like
says,
they
"You don't
just
get me
threw a
OBG." I
life
leave."
raft into a crocodile pond.
It's a sexy looking Band-Aid for a crack in the ship. I agree.
John, did you see the quotes, the clip from that guy who said the Bengals fans are scared? They thought that Joe Burrow, and he said like he was quoting like, "Oh, he's not real. This Joe Burrow guy. He's like Joe Burrow is going to rule the AFC North for 10 years. Well, that's over now." Here's my thing, John. First of all, I do not care that they signed Odell Beckham Jr. It's 50-50 that he'll be better than, I don't know, Deshaun Jackson. You know what I mean? I don't really care. Second of all, I don't even care if the Ravens re-sign Lamar Jackson or not.
Me neither.
Lamar Jackson, the regular season, sure. He's very dangerous. He's successful against us. Postseason, I'm not afraid of a quarterback like Lamar Jackson.
Well, I'm
I'll
afraid.
be honest
I'm
with you.
afraid
just
of
not.
the Ravens. Look, we barely beat the
No,
Ravens. I'm
but I
afraid.
mean-
Look. Hold on. I have always said the same thing about the Ravens. I am afraid of the Ravens. I don't know why everybody thinks that offense is the reason I should be afraid of the Ravens. It's their defense. I mean, we
that's-
almost
yeah.
lost. If it weren't for that freak fumble, and then a few other freak things, that was a much more difficult game than the Buffalo Bills. And so let's be honest. We should worry about the
was-
Ravens, but it's not because of the offense, because of the defense.
I'm
The
not
only
worried,
thing
yeah.
I'll say about that game, it wasn't all that dissimilar from from the first playoff game of the season before. Like we were close to being tied with the Raiders with what, a minute left to go. I can't.
Yeah,
even
and the
remember.
Raiders were a bad team. They fired their coach middle of the year. Yes,
They got
the
down
Raiders
to
were a
the-
bad team.
They got
Raiders
down
were
to
really
the
good.
7-yard
People-
line
Raiders
and
are
were
sad.
ready to. They were ready to come back, tie it. Who knows what would have happened in
Yeah.
overtime?
Bridget gets it.
We felt
I-
like
I
we
don't
were. we felt like we were playing on the back foot with the Ravens this year, or the Ravens in the playoffs. I mean, it felt a little bit like that during the regular season game the week before, but it wasn't all that dissimilar. And Koji, I love you. And what
likewise, by
are
the way.
football
What's going on
games
here?
if not
What's going
a
on here?
series of freak things that happen, right?
Exactly. It's the playoffs. It's the playoffs. And they're a physical team, and we played them twice already that year. We play them twice every year. They know us. We know them. John knows divisional games are not the same as other games. There's way too much familiarity. John Harbaugh is a
the
very
Ravens
smart.
were really great last year. I mean, you guys
For a-
watched
for
the
a
Ravens,
certain
right?
point. Yeah, but I'm saying
Harbaugh is a brilliant. Listen.
He's very good.
Harbaugh is to other coaches what Joe Burrow is to quarterbacks. The man is brilliant.
Okay, we have to move on. We can't. I'm sorry. You said you're not the smartest when it comes to football, and now you
I proved
compared
it,
John Harbaugh to yes.
John,
I
what
want
do
to talk
you
about.
think?
John.
I think Daddio and Ken Carden, whoever his name is, they come from the same school of journalism. They just happen to say opposite things.
Yeah,
That was a really nice way to put it.
yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Thank you. Okay, John. I want to report on something else here, and that is
I love that you keep insisting on using the word report.
He's got a quota to meet.
yes, John. I also have some CincyJungle.com articles to write that, and I need to cover topics that will be in those.
what do
we
you
can
think I
promote
just
the
said?
show.
I must say, for someone with your literacy level, what
Yes.
an achievement it is that you write so many articles.
Yes. And I don't even use ChatGPT. So before
yes, you do.
Yeah. Look, John, Darnell Wright is one of the top right tackles in the draft, right?
Right with the
But-
W or right with an R?
Right. But he wants to play left tackle.
No, you can't do that. You can't,
You can't
be left
do
and
that.
right. You
And
die from
so-
irony. Everybody
Yes.
knows that.
And so our good friend, Willie Lutz, he comes out and he says, this guy is one of the top guys in the draft, top 15 prospects. And then someone says, yeah, but he's a right tackle. And then he says, yeah, well, he's not going to play. He's not going to play left tackle in the NFL. He's a right tackle. And then this guy, Darnell Wright, messages Willie. I don't know if you saw this, Bridget.
Hold on.
I did.
You want me to read it out loud?
We're not gonna
Yes.
say Dieter.
Yeah,
on
I can
the
read it. He
show.
says, you're
probably a
a
little
diffractor.
heavy. Yeah,
Yeah.
on the Decatur part. I guess Decatur,
Yeah.
Illinois.
Right.
Apologize
Just, he
for
didn't
that.
use spell check. He didn't use spell check.
Decatur, Illinois. It's a beautiful city.
Mm-hmm.
Apologize for that. Looking at what you said, were probably defending me a bit when you said it was frustrating. when the
So
game
that
was
was afterwards. So first he said, "You're." I think.
Wait
it
a minute,
says-
wait a minute, Daddy.
Yeah.
You notice something very interesting at the end of his message,
Ooh,
John?
He's coming on his podcast.
No, it's the eyes
the emoji.
that we do not understand.
right.
The secret emoji.
Yeah. Right, but I mean, look. He said I went a little heavy on that part. I think that is, you want just the right amount of calling someone that. You can't do too much. Is what I'm reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you say it, John, like if you say it casually, it's a compliment. I think. I don't know. I don't understand your generation, John.
There's nothing casual about what he was implying there.
He didn't imply it. He said it. But John, and then we go to the next message.
What you do on the
And
football
Willie,
field,
look
you
at
kinda
Willie. Look at
feel
what a nice. He says, I feel as minimizing
Like it.
as, yeah.
I do kind of
and-
feel like an ass for minimizing that. I think really highly of you, and none of this changes anything. Water under the bridge, as far as I'm concerned. If anything, it just shows me how passionate you are about the game and about your own future. I'm very, very excited. to watch it.
Crazy. I mean, I would have said, first of
So
all,
who's
Willie,
the person saying, all good, brother, live and learn, no choir boys over here, I wear my emotions on my sleeve? Who's that person?
that is Darnell Wright. And yes. And he's basically saying that I can call you those things because I love football. That's the only reason I said those things to you.
Wait, now
And-
I know you're reporting on something, but these
Yeah.
exchanges between Willie Lutz and Darnell Wright, what are we really doing with them exactly? What's the point?
Basically, what it says is that his agent said, hey, the Bengals might end up drafting you, and Willie is in our inside circle of the Bengals. So be careful, John.
Is Willie a friend of the show?
Everybody's like, you
yeah.
clutching your pearls. Spend 1 week in the DMs of a woman on Twitter, and this
Can
will
I?
seem like
I'm so
play.
glad that you mentioned that, Bridget,
Can you
because
stream
Could I do
interesting.
that?
There was no. Hold
I
on.
wanna see
Wait,
some
do
of
you want to do that, Daddy?
Yeah, why don't you hand over your Twitter to me?
No. I was going to read off a DM that a certain female sent Darnell Wright a few weeks ago. She sent DMs to a bunch of the top offensive linemen in the upcoming NFL draft. Her ad is, and I quote, "American Hussy," and she tried to, I guess, flirt with some of these players. So she sent Darnell Wright, "Hey," that's 4 Y's, by the way, and he responded, quote, "Stankin' B word," with 3 throw up emojis.
Wow. So
Well,
DMs,
but Bridget is a very sophisticated, dignified, very expensive HR
you know what's funny?
personality. But she's saying, hold on, she's saying that look, people just randomly reach out to her in strange ways, which is very
I'm gonna say it, dudes. Y'all gross on Twitter. There are so many gross dudes on
and can you give us some
Yeah,
please some examples of what has
I
happened?
delete
Yeah.
it. So here's what I'm going to say. This is now becoming a public service announcement. If I can help
Great.
you out, fellas. It actually doesn't make women feel good. Surprise, surprise, to have really disgusting, hypersexualized, gross DMs. Like, I feel like very few women, especially like women you'd want to bring home to your mom, are like, man, this guy wants to give me a cash app for
Hold on, hold on.
$8,000 for feet pics, or he's telling me what he's gonna do with a photo. He's like, no, these are
Bridget,
not ways to get women, and they're not respectful.
As
So,
a
there you have
formerly
it.
married and now single man, can I ask you for some advice?
Yes.
Okay. So this was years ago, and I slid into Meryl Streep's DMs. Okay. And all I said was, do you need help polishing your Oscar? And the reason was, now is that bad? But I meant that literally.
Do you have a skill set in some kind of like gold statue
Yes.
polishing, or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you rehab statues?
Metallurgy, it's called.
Okay.
I have a degree.
I
never
feel
took
like
Koji
if
for a
you're
gold digger.
No. In metallurgy, I'm really good with metals.
so
And I'm a fan of her work. And I said, listen, I have a special. I clarified in the DMs. I said, look, I have a special substance that will help me polish your Oscar.
Yeah,
Can I
that's-
help you polish it? And I received no response. No
I'm
response from
surprised
Meryl Streep.
she didn't send the
We're both
props
celebrities,
over
Bridget.
to
Though
you.
I'm not some fanciful, toad. I'm a celebrity. She's a celebrity. We're equals.
I'll send you the link to the workplace sexual harassment training again. We'll work
Thank
on
you.
that.
Finally.
Well,
I
I
was
don't
making
work
my
with
point.
Meryl Streep. I'd like to, but
But it'll just be a good refresher on how we
No.
talk to people we don't know.
Look, I want to move on with the final bit of
hold
news.
on.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious that Darnell Wright, by the way, just says what he wants. Like, I don't think that's a negative at all, and I don't think people should be using it against him. But it's 100% clear that his agent's like, hey, maybe chill out on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
he's a kid.
Yeah. He's
He doesn't
a
know how
kid.
to slide into the DMs.
Well, I
is an
hope
art.
he-
Basically, what I have to do for
I hope he
Daddy-O.
slides to like
We
the
get it.
4th round. The Bengals get him. Yeah. Look, John, we talked about Odell
Let's get
Beckham
Billy Lutz on the
Jr.
show, Daddy. By the way, can
Yeah.
you put in the comments to
should.
the fans, if
Yeah.
anybody is watching the show, can you put if you'd like to have Billy Lutz on the show, yes or no? And then if you would, can you please slide into his DMs and tell him to come
Please.
and
And
tell him that it's not going to be in Decatur, it's not going to be in Chicago, it's going to be right here on in Miami or something like that.
right. John, we talked about Odell Beckham Jr. going to the Ravens, and we don't really care. But the question a lot of people have is, why didn't he sign with the Bengals? And what's interesting is that...
Wait, that was not the question that anybody had.
Okay. But what's interesting, John, is that last year, I think, John, remember when he was coming back from his injury after the Super Bowl, and people thought he'd take a bargain deal to play the second half with a contender. Remember that, John?
I do.
Last year? Yeah. And a lot of people said he should go to the Bengals. And it didn't happen. But interestingly enough, we saw today that look at that picture. Joe Burrow with Odell Beckham Jr. are together. They're at an event. And obviously they're meeting a very strong, powerful, I can't see who that, Bridget.
Yeah, that
Can you-
dude looks at
yeah.
least 270 pounds.
You talking about
Yeah.
the
It's
hold
a
on. Are you talking
Noompa,
about
it's a Noompa Loompa, isn't it? A Noompa Loompa, but with blonde hair.
No, I think
I
it's
see it like it's
Hoji,
someone with, like,
why don't you
very
tell me what
orange
you see,
skin.
Hoji? I'm just...
all right. Okay, so I see now that I see a man that looks like a Joe Burrow impersonator.
Okay. Okay.
And he's shaking the hand of a very constipated man. I
Well,
can't make out his identity.
I don't know. I've heard
bad
fried
for
chicken
that chair.
actually. Yeah. You guys are avoiding the answer, but
I
here's the
think
thing,
whoever
John.
whoever that is, I think Joe's friend Nick Bosa really wanted to meet him, and I think Joe's being a nice guy of being like the intermediary. Like,
It's
hey,
funny.
Like,
No, but
my
let's-
friend's a
can
big
we-
fan.
Let me just say,
no, I
we
wanna
said
say
Joe Burrow is the next Tom Brady, and he really is the next Tom
No,
Brady.
the man is not.
Yeah.
Listen, the man, Joe Burrow is the epitome of woke. I think we have all seen that in his interviews. The man is, he's aware. He's got those social justice values. But all kidding aside, I mean,
I don't like.
listen,
I'm sorry. I
John-
don't like calling Joe Burrow woke. I mean, John Ross. He had a very woke career with all those injuries, and that's when I think of when I think of a woke player.
You don't know what woke means. That's fine. Look, but regardless, Donald Trump was the 45th president of the United States. He's an American. I mean, you're gonna respect the president. I get it. I don't hold that against anybody.
Wait, so you're
Because-
saying that is the legitimate president right now? So what you're saying is he is the president.
He
No,
did
so we
not
are
say that.
currently
He
on the
did not say that.
46th. We are currently on the 46th president.
That's how
of the United States.
counting works.
Yeah, we've moved beyond the 40. Look, at the end of
46
the
comes after 45. 45 is done. Like, it's a
Yeah.
number, and we're like, you're done. And now we're at 46, and it's a new number, and it's a higher number.
But
which
but
makes
if
it a
you
better
win,
number.
if you win back to back, it's still the 45th president.
he's right. I hate to
If
say
Only
it.
that
he
happened.
did.
He's right. He's right. I hate when he's right. But anyways,
Yeah.
regardless of all that, I mean, if any normal person, especially like a big time quarterback like Joe Burrow sees the president, I wouldn't hold him against it. You got to shake the man's hand.
So the
Whatever.
president who was just indicted and escaped from prison to go see a game, and there's a lot of important people at this game. John, what was it? The tennis match, I believe.
No, it's a
You're saying-
WF.
Yeah. Anyways, let us move on, John, because the final bit of reporting I have is that we have a new patron, Bandana and
Ooh.
Niloy. Yeah, Bandana and Niloy just decided to treat us patronizingly.
Namaste, Bandano.
We are
And that is-
appreciative.
we love you.
He
Yeah,
also
and they
sent
were,
them a sympathy card.
Yes, and they were appreciative of the show being back. They said, I thought you guys are gone. You're back. I'm so happy. And I just want to let everybody know that the show is back and open to more patronage. So
Yeah,
you can do that.
You've heard of Back in Black? We're back in crack.
Yes. Yes, John, any final, by the way, John, how is the reporting, if you will, going at Atos Sports?
Yeah. So I did get a message from my bosses, and they watch the show. They're big fans of the show. They would prefer if you pronounced it correctly, A to Z. There's some spaces there. I don't
Okay.
really know where. I don't know why you convinced me otherwise, because I actually brought it up in a meeting, and they're like, no, it's not Atos. So I don't know what you did to convince retrain my mind, but I'm gonna have to ask you to stop actually.
Okay.
Ooh,
fired.
cease and desist. Cease and desist.
And with that,
Atos.
yes, I want to say that we are ready to end the show.
Wait, shouldn't
Yeah.
people write stuff in the chat? Oh, write in the chat beneath the YouTube. What are you going to put in Willie Lutz's DMs?
You
Right.
could do that. That's one option. The other option is I know John doesn't always like when we have speculative conversations. I feel like there's gonna be a little bit more speculation. Draft isn't for another couple weeks. Tell us what you want us to talk about before the season starts. What do you want to
Yeah,
see
John.
the number one
I like
Bengals podcast team do?
John or
But
the
like
comments?
keep it PG-13.
The comments or John? Who's
I
going to
mean,
do it?
the put it in the comments.
In the
You can
comments.
say you want John to do
Yeah.
something.
Okay, yeah. Put it in the comments. And they shouldn't put it in your DMs.
Not my DMs.
No.
Please. For
Do
the
not
love
do
of
it in
God, not
Bridget's
mine.
DMs. Stay out of the DMs. Slide out of her DMs. And you can slide into mine. Nobody ever slides into Hoji's DMs.
Slide into Hoji's DM. That needs to be a whole segment.
Yeah, it does. I feel like we're trying to end the show, but
Yes,
missing the music
little
of
bit
the-
of a little bit of technical difficulty. I'll try one more time. If not,
the internet must be really bad on your side of the world.
yes, we were just gonna end the show without music. But don't forget to go to a2zsports.com.
A to Z. Anybody
follow
pronounce
John.
it anything other than A to Z, they are dead to me.
Right, like Carson Palmer. And don't forget to follow Bridget on Twitter. Just follow her.
Yeah.
Don't
No
send her
DM.
messages. Don't talk to her if you see her on the streets. Please.
Anything you
That's
want
not
to put
true.
in
Respect.
anything you want to put
Don't-
in Bridget's DMs, put in my DMs.
Don't
Yes.
say
Anything.
anything in my DMs you wouldn't say to my face if you saw me on the street.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. Yeah. But don't say things to her on the street that you would put in DMs.
Just please, no Decatur clips, because I don't dig the Midwest.
Right. John, that's all I got. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and turn on notifications. For John
John.
and
And,
John for
Oji.
President.
yeah.
In 10 years, I'm going to be John's campaign manager. Without a doubt.
All right. We will see you next time. So long,
Sweetie.
sweetie.